So I'm anticipating that you can hear me because I can see the microphone working and I can see myself. So we are live right now. Just do a little prep before the 12 o'clock start. Like have an apple. So I turn on the live stream and I walk away. Oh. Ah. I think people are used to Zoom at this point. I would like it to have a big word water backdrop behind it, like that. So the names will pop up. Whatever they're on. Thanks, Derek. We're getting closer. Let's see. 4 minutes. All right, we're on a live stream, and I am Tom with Gordon Water Systems. And I just want to say, as we start this, thank you to ShowSpan and thank you to Grand Rapids Home Builders Association. In a time of COVID, we're not having the new and remodel expo, but they made this available to a number of exhibitors, and I just wanted to say thank you. Again, I'm Tom Deisterhoff. Myself and my brother Steve, we are second-gen owners of Gordon Water Systems. Our father started Gordon Water in 1973, so we grew up in the business. We did the things, we went to college and we did things after college, and we both joined at different times of our life, but it's been our life. My brother's been there with us for 30 years, and I'm or 35 years. I'm 25 years. So it is our life, and we take great pride in it. And we're thankful for the foundation that Gordon and my mother gave us. We've grown, started in Kalamazoo. We have Kalamazoo, Portage, Grand Rapids, and Rockford locations. Really excited about that growth over the last 10, 15 years. Really have seen some really great opportunities to help people. Through the years, we created something, as many companies have, but we call it the mission or the passion, and it's love and energy and pride. And we love to help people have clean, safe water and now air, and I'll talk a little bit about that. We bring positive energy to the solutions we provide, and we take pride in how we deliver our products and services. So that's where the love, energy, pride comes in. What is it that Gordon Water Systems does? From the outset, water softeners. We take people's hard water and made it soft, grew into obviously rust and odor filters, drinking water systems, and whether city or well, contaminant reduction. Contaminants can include a lot of things, but the ones that you're probably most aware of would be, if you're on city water, be chlorine. City or well would be PFAS. Wells obviously can have varying levels, but PFAS is many of us have been made aware of the last 3 or 4 years here in West Michigan, is one of those things they call the forever chemicals. And it's something that has permeated many, many areas, including Lake Michigan. Arsenic is another contaminant, nitrates, lead. Obviously, Flint put lead in Michigan on the map. But we have some of that here in West Michigan as well. We also do bottled water service to homes and businesses. So we have 5-gallon bottles and a variety of cooler options, including touchless. Product line, we carry Kinetico is our flagship. Kinetico and Gordon Water have a rich history. My dad started in '73, but in 1975 or '76, he saw it at another Lindsay dealer, because he was a Lindsay dealer, and he asked what it was because it was so unique looking. And the other dealer said, it's this thing called Kinetico, and it's non-electric, and it's a twin tank softener. So my dad bought 3 of them. That's what it took to become a dealer. And here we are 46 years later, still with Kinetico. Rich tradition there, American made. We really value that relationship. Hellenbrand is another product line for our water treatment side, and it is out of Wisconsin, also American made. We've really valued that relationship as well over the last 20 years. We utilize them for rust and odor removal, along with our electric water softener lines. So very good product, and we appreciate working with them. We have another product line primarily for drinking called Always Fresh. And Always Fresh is a veteran-owned, American-made, and a wounded vet at that. The owner of Always Fresh, or Waterline Technology, super guy, very knowledgeable, and I really appreciate working with him as well. So we do a variety of things, but let's talk about what soft water is, or what hard water is. I mean, what really is hard water, and how did it get its name? Hard water is due to the fact that water is a universal solvent. And as it falls from the sky and is on the ground and percolates down through the ground and through the layers of rock and soil and things, or it flows into a river along the riverbed and then into, in our case, Lake Michigan, guess what's happening? It's taking little bits of that rock and dissolving it. And what happens when we pump it up in a well or we pull it out of Lake Michigan, that dissolved rock that's in the water is part of the water. And so you end up with varying degrees, but you get hard water. And what does hard water do for you? Well, those fixtures in your home, whether it's faucet or tub and shower, maybe even your dishwasher or your clothes washer, you can see white buildup. That's the hardness. That's the calcium and magnesium that are left behind. When the water evaporates, it leaves behind that particular residue. What I've got a few demos here today, just quick to try to give you a visual. This is one of the tests our water specialists would do in your home. And our water specialists are a range of experience, but they're all either in the process or have been certified by the National WQA or Water Quality Association. It's a rigorous training, learning, over 100 hours of study. So it takes quite a bit of time and effort. But this, I've got some reagent in here. This is what we do. This is how we test for hardness. 2, 3, 4, 5. Every drop, oh, there it went purple with the 5. I had already added some drops in there. What that tells us when we're in your home is when we count those drops, we're counting in grains per gallon. And that helps us, quite frankly, make the proper recommendation for the water treatment for your home or your office. That along with some other parameters, obviously usage and things. But hardness is something we can measure, and we have to measure because we have to size the equipment properly. So that hardness that you end up with, that we measure, you see on those surfaces. What you don't see is inside your water heater. That same little white buildup that you see around your faucets or in the tub or shower on the shower head, that same buildup happens inside a water heater. That's why the tankless water heaters, the instant water heaters, you have to have soft water because they have such close tolerances to make them work. You have to have soft water. In your other water heaters, electric or gas, you get a rock buildup, a white buildup on the inside. Now the heat, whether it's through an electric rod or the gas, has to get through that layer of rock to get to the water, to heat it. So when you draw water at your faucet, you got hot water. So it takes more energy, shortens the life of your water heater. That same buildup happens in pumps and things in your clothes washer, your dishwasher. You'll see it on your, if you have water in the fridge, you'll see that buildup there as well. So anything that's touching water, you get a buildup on. And either you're cleaning it or you don't even see it and it just degrades the appliance or water using device. So hard water is a challenge. Now, another quick demo when you go, well, really, Tom, is it? I have 2 flasks. I don't know if you can see, this one is hard water. I bypassed my softener. And I put our demonstration soap in that. You can see it's kind of cloudy. It's kind of nasty. This is water through my water softener with the same amount of soap in it. You go, well, what's the big deal? Well, I got a cloudy water and I got clean water. Let me show you what happens. And this is what I mean by hard water costs you money. What do I have there? I got nice suds. I got nice suds. That's good for clothes, dishes, skin, hair, right? Hard water, same amount of soap. It just looks kind of nasty in there. So not only do you degrade your appliances, but when you're in the shower or you're cleaning your clothes or your dishes, you're going to spend more money on cleaning chemicals. Because in fact, if you have a Maytag dishwasher, and others. Right in there, it says if you have so much hard water, add another teaspoon, because you start with, like, I don't know, a tablespoon. Add another teaspoon. If you have if you got 8 grains of hard water, add another teaspoon, and it keeps going. You get up to like a half a cup. By the time you're up to 18 or 20 grains of hardness, you might as well just take the container and throw it in the dishwasher. The reason is it has to combat the hard water effects. So soft water, it saves you money. It's the basis for most of the water treatment we're doing. There's another contaminant or issue that people will call us with, and that's rust and odor. Iron in the water oxidizes and turns the water rusty. It leaves stains also around fixtures, but you can see it in toilet bowls and showers, places where there's standing water, and as it dries, that iron or that rust leaves a residue. There's a few different things that can cause color in that look like iron. Some of it is iron. There's a type of iron called ferrous iron, and that, quite frankly, a good water softener can remove. And so if you are dealing with some staining, and it doesn't take much, 0.3 parts per million of iron is what people will start to really notice and pick up the phone and call us and say, I've got rust in my water. That staining, though, if it's ferrous, we can remove with a water softener. If it's another type of iron called ferric iron, that is a particle, and that'll pass through a water softener. It'll still show up in your house as rust stains around fixtures and things, but the treatment for that is a different appliance or a different system, and it's called a rust or iron filter. And so that typically goes before the water softener, and then you have the water softener to soften the water and do any finish polishing for all those things. And right now we're talking about the water that goes on you, whether it's for cleaning clothes or hair or skin or whatever. Soft water and iron removal are about that. Sometimes with iron or separate from iron, you can have what's called, well, let's face it, odor, smelly water. And that's no good, because you end up with rotten egg smell. That's typically what it is. And so with that, there's also treatment. It can be the same equipment that we use to address with iron, or it's its own separate device. It depends on the level of odor and other water chemistry issues that are in the water. So you've got rust, creates stains, it's a pain. You've got rust that comes in ferrous or ferric. When our water specialists are in the home, they will try to assess your water by running it through a miniature softening column to see if it's ferrous or ferric. If they get a little through the softener, they have another test they can do with the water that's come through the softener to see if that's ferric or tannins. What are tannins? Tannins is decayed plant life. So as the water percolates down through the ground or flows down the river, many times wells near river streams, wetlands, that types of things, lakes, can end up with tannins. It's decayed plant life. Think of in the fall when there's leaves in puddles and the water looks like tea. It's my little visual. Think tea bag. It adds a little color to the water. So you can have soft water and you can have little or no iron in the water, but you still have water that looks kind of like tea. Well, there's ways we can address that. Tannins are not necessarily easy. And if you've got tannins, there's options for their reduction, their removal, but they can be a little sticky and a little challenging, because if you have iron with it, ferric iron, you can end up with more involved equipment, because tannins and iron removal don't like each other. But we've got systems for that. if you've got city water, I've been talking about well water a lot. If you've got city water, you're going to have chlorine in the water, and we want chlorine in the water. Don't get me wrong, because without it, you got things growing in the pipes, and we don't want that stuff. But once it gets to our homes, that's where we can go, hey, we've got city water here, let's take out the chlorine. Why do you want to take out the chlorine? Chlorine's chlorine. It's wonderful for what we're asking it to do. Byproducts of chlorination, trihalomethanes and other things. You'll see it on your water report if you've got city water. You'll see chlorine levels and you'll see the byproducts of chlorination, and they'll list off 2 or 3 different components. The reason they do that is because those items themselves, aside from the chlorine, if they were too high of levels, they can be a problem for our health, quite frankly. Now, chlorine on city water, we can, again, water specialists would be able to show you in the home a little easier than I can on a live stream. But this is water with a little chlorine in it. And this is just the chlorine indicator. I don't know if you can see that very well. It turned yellow. There's some chlorine in that water. And the interesting thing about that is, if I were to do that after having my fingers in the water, and I added that colorant, the water would be clear. That's because our skin has reacted with the chlorine. And so back to it, there's chlorine reduction we can do to help you even in the showers and things. And there's, again, different ways to tackle that. Whole home is ideal. And we'll get to drinking water in a little bit. Other contaminants, also in city or well, I mentioned the PFAS. We have excellent solutions, whole home and drinking water specific. 3.5 years ago, PFAS, which has been around for a long time, but in West Michigan, became more prevalent and made us all aware locally, both in the greater Grand Rapids area and greater Kalamazoo, both areas that we serve. And PFAS is something that is I guess I'll call it a newer contaminant, even though it's been around a long time. It's relatively new, and so approvals for that were quite limited 3 years ago. But we are fortunate enough to have 3 different manufacturers that have PFAS third-party approved removal. Again, both whole home and drinking water. And we've got the Pioneer, which is a whole home system. Quite frankly, it's a very large cartridge that goes on the inlet, whether it's city water or well water. It goes on the feed into the house before most of your other water treatment. And that will knock that PFAS down to either non-detectable or so insignificant, taken care of. We've got the Kinetico. I mentioned Kinetico earlier. Kinetico has the K5 drinking water system, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. The K5 is rated for PFAS as well, and is being utilized in all candor in other parts of the country and other contamination, PFAS and some other large chemical contaminations exclusively by either the states or the corporations that are trying to clean things up for families. So the PFAS end of it, it's in well or city, whole home or drinking water. There's ways to tackle it. Now, I mentioned drinking water a few times. There's a couple of solutions I've got with me today. One is, and I've mentioned Always Fresh and Kinetico or the K5. One is the Always Fresh, and I'll start with that one. The Always Fresh, this is the high flow cartridge. This is fantastic for the cold side of your kitchen sink or other filtration points of use. It is rated for PFAS, rated for lead, cryptosporidium, all of that fun stuff. And it is, again, American made and really respectable, high quality stuff. A reverse osmosis system, and I want to talk a little bit about reverse osmosis before I jump into the K5. The Always Fresh HFC 1000 that I just held up as a drinking water solution is one that has multiple layers to it inside that housing. And its primary is an extremely capable powder activated carbon. And so it is an excellent, excellent filter for PFAS and organics and chlorine and all of those things. Reverse osmosis incorporates carbon into the treatment process, but it also has what's called a reverse osmosis membrane. What's inside that? It's got it includes carbon, but the membrane itself, you have contaminated water or your raw water coming in, or your softened water, quite frankly, comes in with all the other things that are in it. In a semi-permeable membrane, meaning really, really tiny holes, but it also has a layer of positive and a layer of negative charge with tiny little holes in it. What does that do for you? Well, anything that is in solution that has a positive or negative charge to it that we don't want in the water, it will get rejected. Not only are there really tiny pores, but it's also rejecting things that are charged. And so those items continue down the membrane and they go to the drain. The clean water comes through. So now you have not only water that is being treated by carbon, but it's been through a membrane, which means it's really clean water to begin with. And so let me hold up the K5 here a second. The K5, this is the Kinetico K5 RO. And it looks a little different because it is different. And I don't have all the components to it, but you've got a pre-filter, a membrane, and a post-filter. Pre-filter will vary depending on whether it's city water or well water. The membrane is going to be the same. The post-filter, there's a couple of options on that, but that is the polish before it goes to your faucet. The thing that makes K5 unique are these two spots right here. Each of these are accessory items, meaning we can add a cartridge into each one of these, specifically for maybe arsenic. Maybe we have compromised immune system in the home. Maybe it's through medical cancer treatments. Maybe it's just a natural issue that somebody is dealing with. There's a cartridge that goes in that is virus and bacteria eliminating. So if you have a compromised immune system, you don't want to have those components in your water. That cartridge can go in, and it can be added if you're in treatments. And when you're healthy, you can remove that cartridge if you want to. It's got a cartridge in one of these spots you can put to add minerals back in. It's called a Mineral Plus cartridge. Quite frankly, it's for flavor. Some people, I prefer RO water, reverse osmosis water. Some people like some taste to their water and a different taste to the water. And so that's what that cartridge does. There's an arsenic, specific arsenic, because arsenic comes in two forms. So you got to have a specific cartridge for that along with the membrane, and then that really tackles the arsenic. So again, there's a variety of cartridges you can put in. There's other features within that, and we've got some demos of how quickly it flows on our YouTube channel. So if you go to Gordon Water YouTube, or you go to YouTube and you go to Gordon Water Systems, you'll be able to find the K5 flow item, the video. What's really cool about that is through a carbon filter, you can take, when we talk contaminants in drinking water, we do a rough and I say rough, it gets us in a very good ballpark. Something called a TDS measurement, total dissolved solids. And I'm going to show you something quick here. Total dissolved solids gives us, when I say rough, it doesn't tell us what's in the water. And it also doesn't tell us in this measurement, it doesn't tell us about the organics. When I say organics, they're non-charged items, pesticides and large petroleum-based man-made things. So this is a TDS meter. It measures in the parts per million, and this is coming out of my RO. It's going to be hard to show you, but it's moving between 9 and 10 parts per million. So that's out of my RO system. This is out of my tap, and in this case, it's soft water. It's nice, soft water. But there's other things in that, and I am measuring 550 parts per million. 550 parts per million. Some of that's due to the exchange of hardness and softening the water, which the number would be very similar if it were hard water. And some of that is going to be other stuff. Other stuff that, yes, we can send into a laboratory. We partner with a national lab here in Michigan that is very capable, and for $200, they'll do a 92 contaminant test for drinking water. And that's a really good test because it does give you a list of quite a big, lots of things I can't pronounce, and it can tell you if you've got those in your water. What I like about having that number that was very low with drinking water, with the K5, which is the highest rated third-party RO on the market for contaminant reduction. And there's, again, other features in it I don't want to bore you with at the moment, but if you want to have further conversation about it, I can willingly bore you to death with the details of inside the K5 that make it awesome for a consumer, for a mom, dad, family, or even a business. What the RO does for us is, whether it's 3 years ago and currently PFAS, 5 years ago lead was on the radar. I don't know what 2 or 3 years down the road might be, but I'm not very concerned, because reverse osmosis systems, especially the Kinetico K5, is an awesome way to have the insurance policy. So I don't worry about what might be on my next annual water report a year from now, whenever the annual report comes out from the city, if I'm on city water, or I'm not worried about what industry used to be here on the land if I have well water, whether it's farming or some sort of manufacturing plant that maybe isn't there anymore and the building's gone, but all the effects of what they did 50 years ago is still in the soil. So I'm not worried about those things, because when you have a reverse osmosis system, you're getting good clean water in every drip that comes out of it. Now, an RO system does have usually a designated faucet. We can also not only connect to a faucet at your kitchen sink, but if it's accessible, either from the basement or through to around a couple of cabinets, we can get to the water for your fridge as well. And what we do for a number of people, again, if accessible, or new home construction, if you're planning on building a home or you're in the process of building a home, before any drywall goes up, while wiring's still being pulled and plumbing's being done and it's visible, meaning all that stuff in the walls, there's no drywall up, it's a good time to run tubing to not only your kitchen to keep your RO in the utility space with a water softener and other things in your utility space, but we can feed the kitchen sink, your refrigerator. If you have a wet bar somewhere, we can do that, or another refrigerator ice maker. we've got homes where we build a little header and we label each one of the valves going off to the different points for high quality drinking water. We've had homes that even run them drinking water faucets to bathrooms because they want to brush their teeth with high quality drinking water. So it's one of those things where again, if you deal with it earlier on in a new home construction, it's easier than if drywall gets up. So just moving on, we've got some bullets on the screen there. So what, if you have any questions, anybody watching, feel free in the chat, just type something in. You'll notice too, I did pin my own info at the top. help@gordonwater.com is good because then it'll go to a few people, including me. So that's a good one. If you have further questions beyond this, beyond the chat, that's fine too. So we've talked about drinking water in your home or having point of use systems, meaning filtration right at the kitchen sink or the refrigerator or whatever, having that RO or always fresh filter in your home. But we also do bottled water service, and I'll tell you, it is really gratifying because we do have a demographic for our customers. But I will tell you that what I thoroughly enjoy is the fact that bottled water allows us to help families have clean drinking water, regardless, very nearly regardless of income. We have customers that will pick up 1 or 2 bottles a month of 5-gallon bottles from our office because when you pick up, it's the cheapest. But guess what? That family, that's what they can afford and that's what they're drinking. That they value high quality water to drink for their kids, to make tea, make coffee, cook with, whatever it is they're using that for in their home. They value that and that's all they can afford. Then we have people that have, as I just described, they have a header in the basement with reverse osmosis water going to wet bars and kitchen and refrigerators and things. Larger homes, a different income level. And we are working with both, and we cherish both of those customers. It's really cool. I've got a question right now. It says, do you have any specials? We do have a special right now. And actually, it's really good timing. Thank you. It involves the K5 drinking water system. There's $300 off right now, the K5. If you also purchase something else, like an iron filter or water softener, or the air filter, I haven't gotten to the DFS air filter yet, then you get $500 off. So a heck of a discount right now, especially when you team it with something else. So thanks for asking. And okay, so we got the bottled water, and we deliver to 7 counties is where we're working. And we touch more than that, but 7 counties here in West Michigan. The Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, in between to the Lakeshore, Muskegon down to South Haven, and we go east of Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids, and south and north of Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids. But that gives you an idea of where we are delivering water. We have a lot of cooler options, and I will tell you, touchless. We've got 2 or 3 different options for making a cooler touchless. What's nice about that is some places have removed their customer coolers, customer areas. They've kept them for their employees, but they removed them for customers because they didn't want people sharing the spigot. So when we say touchless, we've got something that's as simple as kind of like that pop thing when you go to the gas station or your fast food restaurant, you go fill your own pop, put your cup there, and pop comes out. Similar to this, it's just got a lever you push against and water comes out. But we also have a touchless. your cup doesn't touch anything. You just hold your cup under there and you put your hand near a sensor, takes 2 hands, and water goes into your cup. When you take your hand away, it stops filling. So that's pretty cool. We also have POU, or Bottleless Coolers, with similar dispensing options. We recently, and this is super exciting, have what's called a bottle filler. So if your work or your school or your library, wherever you go, has tape and garbage wrapped around that the drinking fountain, they don't have to get rid of the whole thing. We've got something now, that conversion kit, that we can just take the very top of that off, still use all the plumbing and the power and the cooling, put on a bottle filler right on top of that, and it looks good, securely mounted because the drinking fountain was there, and it can dispense either your regular tap water if that's what you want, or we can filter. And we have a variety of filtration options, whether it's called a Bottleless Cooler or the new bottle fillers on top of drinking fountains. And we're working with a number of clients on those bottle fillers. It's quite exciting to have that and some other products from our cooler manufacturer. So excited about that here for 2021, to be able to provide our current bottled water customers and Bottleless Coolers, and now bottle filler customers, with options that are touchless, where you just put your cup underneath, and either with a hand movement or just the location of the cup creates water flow. So that's pretty fun stuff. I've talked a lot about water. We've talked about hardness, different types of iron, tannins, a little odor in the water. Again, we've got solutions and experience, nearly 48 years of experience with all of those things. Drinking water, again, bottled water, whether it's delivered or picked up. We've got drinking water in the reverse osmosis, Kinetico K5, always fresh. And those are all fantastic options. Very confident in those, love having those. We had a relationship, started a relationship with Healthway. They're out of the state of New York, upstate New York. And in 2008, I touched base with them and we started carrying their product line. And it was really a blessing in disguise, unknown to us. And then last May or June, when the impact of COVID and people trying to get back to how can we be safe, how can we have a sense of safety in a space, whether it's work or at home, with the air. Early on in COVID, as we all know, don't touch your face, don't, wash your hands, all those things. And what we've come to realize, and what they've educated us on, is that it is hugely airborne. And so the air we breathe, hence poor restaurants and venues and things have been shut down pretty much. And we have supplied a number of restaurants and breweries and bars with air filtration because they were very concerned. They wanted their patrons to be taken care of and to have a sense of security in their spaces. We've obviously sold them to individuals in their homes. We've also partnered with a hospital system that bought dozens of them for intake rooms and areas for patients and things, as well as their employees. Let's face it, the patient is very important, but those frontline workers are vital, absolutely vital. And the cool thing about this air filter, what makes it so unique in 2008 and in 2021, is it traps and destroys viruses, bacteria, mold, fungus. But the very first word I used was viruses. Pretty amazing. The system, it's got a multiple pre-filter that addresses VOCs, and it has a final filter and the technology in the top that trap and destroy the viruses. Okay, I've got a question. Let's see. Any difference? Do we recommend difference well water versus city water? Yes, actually, our proven process. You know, we've been in business 48 years. I just had recently this week, and I understand it, but I just had somebody on the phone. I think I was texting actually. A lead came in, and we were communicating, and they didn't want to have anybody to the home. They had already had somebody else out. They just wanted to know how much it was, and we need to test the water in the home. Yeah, city water is going to be more stable with respect to city water on the north side of Grand Rapids is similar to the city water downtown, is similar to, you know, it all comes from Lake Michigan. So the hardness levels are going to be similar. The variation on city water is going to be chlorine, but that can vary day to day, week to week, month to month, season to season. Warmer weather, they got to put more chlorine in because the ground and the pipes are warmer. But when you're in a well, you can have a well that's, you know, we just had one recently. The water chemistry on it was amazingly low hardness, mildly hard by the rankings by the WQA, but they wanted high quality drinking water throughout the house. So we're working with them on a whole house RO system. We have other private wells that have, gosh, I just measured, I think I put 8 more drops in. I just measured 18 because I had some already in there. So 18 grains per gallon of hardness is, well, it's beyond extremely hard because that stops at 10.5. Anything beyond 10.5 is extremely hard. That's my personal well. We have customers that have had 100 grains per gallon. We have customers that have 100 grains per gallon, plus iron, plus odor, maybe tannins. So our proven process of having one of our water specialists that are trained not only by us in the factory, but by WQA, the Water Quality Association, come into the home, do the tests that need to be done in the home for better assessment. And if we need to, we do take samples and send them to our manufacturers for their labs to do further testing to know what the best solution is. Because sometimes there is problem water, no doubt about it. So yes, we do have different recommendations. Hence, we like to have a water specialist come into the home, evaluate the plumbing, test the water, and quite frankly, give you a couple of options. There's not one size fits all, either in budget or in water chemistry. So, good question. Thank you for asking that. Where was I? Bottle fills, air filtration. The air filter. Let me just finish off the air filtration. We have a tabletop version. We have a what they call the deluxe. It's more for it's on wheels. You know, the tabletop's 300 to 500 square feet, and the deluxe option, as they call it, that model number is 1,000 to maybe as much as 2,000 square feet. But they're both the same technology, just compressed in size. There's also a furnace mount option, and then there's large commercial ones as well. So we can go from the tabletop's awesome for dorms. If you have parents in either assisted living or maybe a standalone condo, but or an apartment in a retired retirement area. Quite frankly, the tabletop's really good for that. You know, 500, 300 square feet, depending on what they've got. Dorm rooms is really good. Office space, conference room. You can get up to a big conference room would be a deluxe and whatnot, or a level of a house. I have a deluxe in other side over here. I have a multi-level house, and sometimes I move that deluxe around. Some people move it to their sleeping area at one time of the at night, and then out in their living space during the day. Other people, if you have 2 stories, you buy 2 units. Furnace mount obviously takes care of the whole house. So, do I have anything else on my list? There's a lot more that we do, and you're welcome, by the way, Kara. there's more we do and answers we can provide. Glad to have the opportunity today. Again, we do water softeners, rust and odor removal, contaminant reduction, think PFAS, chlorine, arsenic, lead, that type of stuff, nitrates. You end up also then with, well, the odor remover. Drinking water, whether it's bottled water or it's the Always Fresh or a Kinetico solution. You know, we've got whole house and drinking water, point of use stuff. It's pretty amazing. So bottled water delivery, POUs, the Bottleless Coolers, the new bottle fillers, hands-free. All of them can be made to be hands-free or touchless, as they say. And then the air filtration. So any more questions, feel free. My email's on the screen. My help@gordonwater.com is a really good one. Just go to our website and we got some good information there. So I hope I was informative. And yes, Carolyn, great to see you too. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you around.